Start off by taking a look at the economic calendar today. We do have some news on the radar today. I believe we have an ECB press conference. Should be Mario Draghi's last one, I believe. That's going to be at 8:30. Looks like in about 15 minutes we have a monetary policy statement as well coming out. So I don't expect too much in the markets as far as the press conference goes, but that may also be determined depending on the monetary policy statement. Overall, looking around the markets this morning, things have been pretty dry for me, meaning that there wasn't a lot on my radar. So we may have a shorter day. We've had kind of longer days the last couple. We may have a shorter day today as we go through pairs, and obviously if there's nothing there, then we don't need to waste time on it. Also, I know we had some internet problems yesterday. I did have a few issues this morning. Hopefully they have been fixed, knock on wood. But if for some reason I go quiet or the screen goes dark for an elongated period of time, I'll try to get OG a message as quick as possible, and I'll try to reset everything. They did some type of upgrade, and then I feel like whenever people do upgrades to stuff, other stuff just breaks. So hopefully it is all fixed. Any place in particular you guys would like to start today? If so, let me know. If not, we'll kind of just work around in normal order. How was your radar this morning, guys? Anything? Or a lot? A little? Nada? Tough crowd today, man. Tough crowd. All right, well, let's get started on the euro dollar then. I feel like a comedian just sitting up there, just giving my best joke, and everyone's like, come on, get on with it. Get on with it. All right, so let's start on the euro dollar. As always, we'll start on the daily chart, and we'll work our way down. So let me put this in my notes real quick. Got about 3 minutes here. Euro dollar here on the daily. Again, not much has changed off of our kind of normal euro dollar situation. If you guys have been tracking with us all week, we had a higher high, higher close above this previous level of structure. So we were anticipating some type of bullish movement in the market. However, we also know that we're coming up into a previous level of consolidation. So we want to be a little bit cautious about where we were anticipating that movement to. As we go down to the 4-hour chart on the euro dollar, this is where things kind of get weird. Gabby says dollar candle 4-hour bearish cipher. X at 131.22, tiny one, so make sure it fits your requirements. Thank you, Gabby. Ali said earlier, had a bullish cipher on the euro dollar 60 as well. You can see here on the euro dollar 4-hour chart, movement kind of gets messed up by this wick. That was 1 o'clock this morning. What was that 1 o'clock this morning, guys? 1 o'clock this morning, that would have been 6 o'clock UK time. What happened at 6 o'clock UK time? Was there China news last night? Yeah, not sure what caused this little spike right here, but I saw it across a few pairs this morning, which kind of throw off the technicals as well, because now you get a long wick candle. You get a long wick candle here, and then you get this area, the area of the wick, of just being like a zone in which there is selling pressure. Gabby says Euro stuff. I feel like it was right. It had to be. I don't think it was Euro stuff. Because if this closed 1 o'clock my time, right, that means it would have closed 6 o'clock London time. And there no events would have came out 6 o'clock. So I don't know. I'm going to blame China, right? Something in the Asia session. When in doubt, blame China, right? Japan. One of the two. I don't know. You can probably look back and find it. I like going to Forex Live. You can go to Twitter is a good one. If you just go to the feed of someone that kind of tweets about financial news, if you go to the feed during this time period, you can probably find out what happened. That's a little cool trick. If you ever care about news, if you're ever curious on why something happened, Forex Live is a good site. They update pretty quickly on their website. Twitter updates right away. So those are kind of my go-tos for like just curious, like quick little news bits. We go down to the hourly here on the euro, and you can see this kind of, again, the move that happened here was a big move up, right? Looks like an emotional reaction to the upside. And then it was beat back down, completely engulfed. And the market essentially kind of went on to doing what it was doing beforehand. You can make the case for little head and shoulders here. This is going to be one that has a slanted neckline, so it's not going to really be any type of head and shoulders with a tradable opportunity. So in my opinion, there's not too much we can do here on the euro. Any questions on euro dollar? Why did I go to the 30-minute Akil? What am I doing here? Channeled my inner Greg, hitting that 30-minute chart. French-German news. All right, let's head over to, I see a few people typing, so we'll give them a few seconds. We're just going to go in order that I kind of do my normal portfolio. I go, how many of you guys go in the exact same order each day? Yep. You know you're consistent if you can recite it by heart. I can recite my entire portfolio in the order in which I go through my portfolio in heart. That's another little trick, right? Mike Bellifiore's got the 6-second trick where if you can't really name what you're supposed to do to a question, if you can't answer a question in 6 seconds, you probably don't have an answer for it. If you're consistent in your trading, consistent in your analysis, if you're someone that trades a set portfolio and you're not kind of like just scanning the market, you should probably be able to name exactly how many or exactly what pairs you go through in what order. Gabrielle says 2 seconds. We got to give it 6 seconds. Some people take a little bit longer to process. I think 6 seconds is 6 seconds. Let's say it should be 2 seconds, right? But 6 seconds is that barrier. If you're over 6 seconds, that's a problem. If you're like me, I listen real slow. So like 2 seconds is a little bit quick. Most of the first couple of seconds I spend when I get a question is like, you actually asked that? How dare you? All right. Obviously, do I see the cipher on the 60? Let's go back to you said 111, 111 tens? 111 flat right here. 111 this area. X to A. Like this. Let me know if I'm right here. X to A to B, B to C. Oh, gotta do that over again. X to A to B, B to C, C to D, somewhere down here. Let me know if that's the one you were looking at. C to D would have been hit at 111.22. Probably would help if I scrolled down my chat. No, this would not be a valid cipher for me. I don't see a retracement between A to B here. So this wouldn't be a X to A to B. Perhaps on a lower time frame, however. Perhaps here on a 15-minute. However, on the 15-minute, I think you're going to run into some issues with that C leg. Yep. So would not be one for me. Nope. And again, just not seeing no clear retracement for me between A to B. This is just a sideways movement. So I'm not looking at this as being a retracement at all. Just kind of a sideways movement in the markets. Let's go to pound dollar next. I was going to say a range bar chart wouldn't help either because we'd still have that close above there. Pound dollar next. Starting on the daily, Gabby says she's still short the pound dollar, right? Boop, 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 boop. Again, if you're just coming in, mentioned earlier, my radar, my watch list this morning looked like an empty house. So it's, I don't have a lot in the markets today. So we may end up having a shorter day. I've got to get ready to travel as well. So, and I never planned for that. So we shall see. Pound dollar on the daily. Kind of in the same consolidation that we've been in all week. We keep this up. You may have a nice little pennant pattern forming here on the daily, depending on how long we kind of do this sideways shuffle. Hey, Tobias. Go down to the 4-hour chart. Again, a little bit of a clearer view of that sideways shuffle. And sideways shuffle isn't a technical term. It's just the term I use to say that the market is just going sideways. We head down to the hourly. We can see that the market's been ebbing up and down, back and forth. Our most recent move being an engulfing candle down here. Heading down to the 15. Heading down to the 5. Looks like a small pattern formation down here. But aside from that, really not much that I see that's tradable on the pound dollar. Questions on pound dollar? Nope. It's gonna be one of those days. I feel awful about it, but you can control. I can't control the movement in the market, guys. So my apologies if this gets monotonous, but whether the markets are moving or whether the markets are not moving, it's important that we continue to go through the same process, right? Even if you're looking at your charts and like, man, I know nothing's out there, you still got to go through the same process, right? Gabby just mentioned you got to always be ready, right? Always be ready, because you never know when something might sneak up and it may be like, oh, actually, I didn't notice that. And it's a good trading opportunity, and all you need is one good trading opportunity to make your day. All you need is one good trading opportunity to make your day. All right, let's go Euro Yen next. Euro Yen on the daily, we had two patterns here. We had a bigger bat pattern here. There's a smaller Gartley pattern that was achieved at market earlier in the week, right up here. And again, we're just kind of consolidating at those highs, so it hasn't really moved too much. We are at previous structure here on Euro Yen. So in order to project to continue to move higher, we need to violate this level. However, even if we violate that level, we're right back into a previous level consolidation. So very similar to the euro dollar, where we violate those highs, there's room to go higher. Certainly, we can most likely, we'll probably push up to about 122.10s if we can violate that 120, 135 level. So there's room there. That's more than 70 pips. There's room, but it's not clear sailing, I guess you can say. What's the ATR for Euro Yen? We're looking at about 80. 80 for Euro Yen. Zach says 72. Probably depends on what your ATR settings are. In fact, I don't even think I changed my ATR settings here on TradingView, so I'm not used to using this. Let's do that. Let's go down to 7. Thanks for the reminder, Zach. Boom. There we go. 72. And on the 240-ish. 72 down to 26. So 26 on the 4-hour. All right, so Euro Yen here. You can see you have a double top here. You have a double top. So if you're looking for shorts, you had a valid double top with this green candle. So 120.99 would have been your entry. If you're using, if you're looking for a lower low, lower close, obviously you have to wait until and this candle completes. If you're looking for a sell stop entry, it would go right below it. Gabby says, beautiful. Look at the risk reward. Yep. So that's the magic question. Where are you projecting that price is going to go to here if you're looking to get short? What are some ideas, guys? Stops are the easy part. We already know what stops are going to be. All right. Per your rules, whether ATR, set number, fib, whatever it may be, stops are going to be pretty consistent. However, your entries may not be consistent. So what are some ideas? We can bring some fibs on, make life look easy, or make not life look easy, make life a little easier for you. A fib on from this most recent swing low to swing high. If you're looking at the bigger pattern formation, you may want to take that Fibonacci into account as well. The pattern formation targets are going to be right here, 382, about 119.26. You've got a structure zone right up here as well. Where you've got price action right at this 382, the smaller 382, finding support and resistance. With the top of that zone being about 120.27 and the bottom of that zone being about 119.74. So if you're measuring this out risk reward, because you always want to measure out entry, stops, and targets, entry would have been right here. We said our ATR was what, 26? 23? So one ATR stop would look something like this. The high of our simple pattern formation is going to be 121.35. So we're looking at 58s. This is where a small ATR helps us out a bit. 58's right here. And again, if you're looking for the bottom band, you're looking at a risk reward of about that. It's going to give you a 2-to-1. If you're looking for the top band, you're going to have about a 1.26-to-1 risk reward. Now, here's something you may want to consider, right? How many of you guys are looking at maybe the upper end of this zone? Because here's the question you may want to ask yourself, right? If you're going to look here, is it then worth having your targets a little bit higher at this previous level of structure? Right? That kind of goes off the conversation we had, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? I'm going to get this into our trade floor real quick while you guys think about it. Yeah, yesterday. Is it worth the extra risk? You're looking at a difference between, if I could do two things at once, you're looking at a difference between 120.41 and about 120.26. So you're looking at about 15 pips. Is it worth an extra 15 pips of profit to add on a little bit more risk? And that's the question that you have to ask yourself as a trader. Zach said, we still have to come up with a term for what that's called. Yeah, when you smart people has to do it. Let me get this let's get this trading idea into the trade floor real quick. Keeping an eye on the Euro Yen for our CTS trade. CTS trade. Double top at structure, and well, we'll just CTS to write it all out. CTS trade. Keep in mind ECB press conference at 8:30 a.m. Now, here's a good example of how a lot of times we'll talk about how kind of having pattern formations in your CTS is, no, this is not the right thing. I'm sorry, hold on. I can't talk and type and teach at the same time. Let me find the right, yeah, this is it right here. Why did he give me that other thing? Why is he giving me that picture? Hold on, take another picture. I'm uploading a picture and it's giving me another picture. Let's try this again. If not, I'll just have to shoot a link in. Upload picture, Euro Yen 4 hour. There we go. Funny computers. So here's a good example of how, we sometimes talk about how if you're a pattern trader and you're a CTS trader, what's the point of having maybe a pattern formation in your CTS setup if you're going to trade patterns regardless? Well, this is one where you have a pattern formation on your higher time frame, but if you're unable to trade it because it's on a higher time frame, then it's not really a tradable pattern. But you can still use it in your CTS. So you can, when you're building your combined technical score for this, you can have your 3 points for your pattern trade. You can have your structure. You can have your double top. You can have your RSI divergence. I'm not sure if we went overbought. You can have your RSI overbought, and all of a sudden you have a CTS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about a CTS 7. So it can still play its role because it turns your CTS 4 into a CTS 7, which could be the difference between a tradable trade and a non-tradable trade. If you guys that are unfamiliar, CTS is combined technical scoring. It's a strategy we teach where you basically take the different tools and techniques of technical analysis that we teach and you combine them into a way of trading the markets. Are you guys frozen or can you hear me? Okay, good. You guys know I'm scared of all the internet problems. Gabby says, in my example, it doesn't mean my technical changes on the pattern valid is valid. However, my targets are different or use a different approach depending on the higher time frame bias. All right, so CTS trade here on Euro Yen. You've got a double top at previous structure. You've got a pattern formation as well on the higher time frame. We talked about different ways. We don't have a fancy name for it, but the safer target place would be a retest of the lows right here versus if you're considering taking the upper part of the zone. If you're taking the lower part of the zone, then I do think it's worth the risk here. You do want to keep in mind ECB press conference starting in about 35 minutes. Any questions on Euro Yen before we work down to the lower time frames? I love the fib confluence we have here. We got the fib confluence at these lows, 382 and 50%. And we have this 382 right in this middle. I like those. All right, let's go down to a lower time frame, the 1 hour. See what that gives us. Same situation, smaller ATR though. By the way, I did a poll on Instagram yesterday, and I think it was like 80%. I gotta check it again. Last I checked, it was like almost 80% of people prefer to not have sprinkles on their ice cream. Instagram don't lie. It represents the public. Yeah, so what that means is that for you guys that enjoy sprinkles, you're just wrong. So I hate to break it to you. When you're right, you're right. When you're a keel, you're always right. So take your little sprinkles. All right, let's go to the beast next, the pound yen. We're at about 25 minutes here, in our 25th minute. Good win by my Philadelphia 76ers last night. Not that any of you guys care, but I care. Pound yen, similar situation. We had this big move up, and then we're starting to consolidate. Again, if this consolidation continues, would not surprise me if we saw maybe some type of flag or pennant pattern. I do think we can rally up higher. We're currently trading at inside structure. horizontal line. You'll see that. I think we can come up into our beautiful descending triangle that we had earlier in the year. This was amazing. And that's going to be around 143.60s. So think there's an opportunity that we can do that. This would be interesting, actually, because this is a one-to-one move. If we end up getting an equal retracement, that would put us back in the structure here. Looking left, structure leaves clues. Boom. And then if we had another equal extension, that would put us right up into the highs of that triangle, a little bit above it. Looking at that level right there. Would be interesting. Who knows if this will actually happen? Very, very far away, but we can predict. Cody says, I looked at a rising channel on the 4-hour and the hourly. Let's check it out. Four-hour, here's your rising channel earlier in the week. This is where trend lines get funky because this is the natural ebb and flow of the market. However, if you want to measure like with trend lines, you're going to have something like this. So that's where things can kind of get confusing. And you can see we started seeing a little bit of relief off of that level. Tobias was looking at the same thing. Yep, we saw a little bit of a retracement off of that level. Looks like to probably right around a 50%. Yep, right around 50% if you take this high. Yep. And then after that, we kind of stopped doing anything of worth. So I don't have anything here on the hourly. 15, 5, and that's where it all kind of goes to crap for me. Let's head over to the dollar yen next. These are the working days in the market. The working days. Dollar yen next. All right, so this was the main pair that's been on my radar for the week. One that I've been watching for weeks, waiting for it to happen. And yesterday we did get our higher high, higher close. Remember we talked about, sound like a broken tape record, right? The head and shoulders pattern, there's two levels of structure. There was the sloping neckline and there was the horizontal support and resistance. The horizontal resistance level has not been broken. That's a level that I need to see to get involved in a trade. However, the sloping neckline was broken. And what we were looking for as we went down to a lower time frame was a reason for entry, and price had kind of bottomed off, right? Thankfully, I still have my arrows on here, my notes from yesterday. Price had bottomed off right at this level. Not only did we have a little bit of price action structure looking left, but looking lefter, we had this nice area right here. Remember, we're looking at the wicks as clues, right? Something else that we're looking for. I don't think I mentioned this yesterday. Can someone see it? Yep. We've got an elephant. Last time I made the noise, you guys laughed at me, so I'm not going to do it. But we got a high momentum candle. Newer traders, that's what I call an elephant, is a big candle that stands out. That's not going to cut it white. A big candle that stands out, right? You ever heard the saying, the elephant in the room? When you look at stuff like that, right, these are good signs of where the quote-unquote smart money is lurking. I forgot the message I got the other day, but I did a little deal on Instagram where I put a poll question up that said, you know, are you consistent in your trading? It came back like 23% people said yes. And so 70-something percent said no. I followed it up with a question saying, well, what are you inconsistent about? Or what is your struggle? And one person mentioned that one of his struggles was like, actually no, it wasn't that poll. It was a DM that came after that poll, where a guy that was struggling, he said, "Hey, Keel, I heard all these rumors that smart money moves the market, and the big players are the ones that really make the waves in the market, and the big players will purposely kind of like stop hunt the smaller players so that we lose and they win." And my question is, how can I ever be a profitable trader being a small player if the big traders are hunting me? And my answer was simple. And just because you're being hunted doesn't mean you need to end up being prey. Right? You guys ever watch any Discovery Channel? National Geographic? Right? So you know how there's like a hierarchy, there's a food chain, right? So when the lion comes out and like kills the wildebeest, right? The male lion gets first dibs, right? Then after the male lion gets first dibs, right? Then comes the female and the kids, and they eat all the stuff, right? And then what happens after they're done? Yeah, the birds come, right? The birds come down, the eagles come down, right? And they pick at the bones, right? They pick at the bones and they get what's left. And we're doing the same thing in the market, right? We're not making the kill shot. We don't have the ability to move the market, guys. Sorry, unless you're swinging a really big stick, right? We don't have the ability to move the market. We're just trying to avoid collateral damage, right? We're not trying to be there when the lion hunts its prey. We're just trying to be around that area, so when it's all said and done, we can come in and we can grab a little bit of a meal, a little bit of a freebie meal without any harm, and then we want to leave before, any other animal comes back. So the fear that smart money is out there hunting us isn't true. Smart money's out there hunting for sure. And again, I don't even want to call it, I guess it is hunting, but because as humans we're so predictable, right? It's, and I'm sure many of you guys are at this point right now, you can predict where a dumb stop loss is at, right? And maybe not dumb, I shouldn't say it, an undereducated stop loss, because it's not dumb. It's not dumb if you don't know, right? It's dumb if you know you should not be doing something and you do it. And I'm sure there's that out there, don't get me wrong. Naked and Afraid, good show. They get so skinny. I wouldn't last in that show because I'd turn to cannibalism on like hour 3. I eat too much, so I'd eat my partner. And it would just get, well, I suppose I'd go to jail. I don't know what the waivers look like. But anyway, there is such thing as a dumb stop loss, right? If you know some people know that a stop loss shouldn't be in a certain place and they put it there anyway. But it's also undereducated. And that's part of experience where you put your stop loss somewhere. You ever put your stop loss in a place and you get spiked out by like 1 pip? And you come back and you're like, yeah, maybe I should have had it a little bit further, right? Boom, it happens, right? And you learn from it. And then you don't do it again. So it's not like they're hunting us traders. They just know that they know where the easy pickings are at. They know where the prey is at. They see the big herd of wildebeest, and it's like, well, I know they're going to cross this river because they do it every day at 12 o'clock. Right? And we can do the same thing. We actually do do the same thing. Because what is placing a stop loss? It's putting our protective stop in a place that we don't think should be hit if we're right. What is placing a target? We're putting our profit target in a place where we think the market is likely to run into trouble. We're just predicting where the other orders are at. So we're doing the exact same thing. So I never understood that. It's an excuse for anyone that says that, well, we can't win because smart money's controlling the market and they're hunting us, right? Well, don't get hunted. That's on you. Don't get hunted. You make the decision to learn how price works. Make the decision to learn the ebbs and flows in the movement of the market. Make the decision to learn how the institutional traders operate and what they look for, and use that knowledge to put yourself in better trading positions and put yourselves in more protective areas when it comes to your stop loss. Right? So it's no surprise we see price action kind of reacting at this level. It's done it before. Now again, our zone is bigger, right? My zone is right here. I see this down here and I say, okay, well, if I'm going to get a stop loss on this trade, right? I'm not putting it here. That's what a dumb trader would do, or a person using a dumb stop loss, an undereducated stop loss, excuse me. Get in a safer area. Zach says, don't stand in the middle of the street and you probably won't get hit by a car. Yeah, maybe that's, fair point. Good example, yeah. Or at least after your first near miss, don't do it again, right? It's okay to do it once. Don't do it again. That's my philosophy in life, right? Make one mistake. You need to make mistakes. Learn from it. Don't make it again. That's where you get in trouble. You get one mulligan or one, you got me. One of those type deals. So we're looking at this level yesterday. We did a whole deal just reading the price chart, reading the candles here, and we were looking for a higher high, higher close. You can see the higher high, higher close right there at the blue line. The market started to take off, and then we kind of stalled out. So if you're in this trade, you're kind of just sitting there up 20 pips or so, kind of in no man's land because the market doesn't want to move. But you did see some positive movement in your direction, which you can take as a positive. We came up to previous structure right here, and now we started to double top. Could also look like a kiss of death, perhaps, on a lower time frame. As you can look at this area as maybe a smaller double top, and then this is the retest. So what would be interesting to see here would be if these lows can hold, right? If you're a bull here, you want to see these lows hold. A hold of these lows is a positive sign. A break of these lows isn't the end of the world, but a very positive sign will be if these lows can hold. All right, 15-minute, we got nothing, nada. 5-minute, nothing, nada. Questions on the yen? Dollar yen, going once, going twice. Looking good, looking nice. Gabby says her session is up. Her accountability session is posted. All right, dollar Canada. Heading into the 39th minute. Dollar Canada, speaking of kind of lessons on stop loss, I did a post on the Trading View last week on the dollar Canada, right around this blue box, talking about kind of lessons learned with stop losses, right? I was looking at this chart, and at the time, we were consolidating right about here, right? This big red candle had formed, I think, going into the weekend. Yep, this is a Gartley. Yep, I can draw that back in, sorry. Got to remember that we've got new people coming in each and every day here. Do it to X to A to B, B to C, C to D right there. There's your bull Gartley. Well, no, I know you're not new, but wasn't sure if you were here throughout the week when we were like discussing this stuff. So that's what I mean. Like I don't like it. For me, like especially by Thursday, when we get to Thursday, especially stuff on the daily, like we see it every day. So it's like Gartley here, Cypher there, and it doesn't really change much because, the daily chart, I mean, pretty much the analysis on the daily chart is the same at the beginning of the week than is at the end of the week. So it typically happens, especially during the end of the week. I just don't bring stuff up again, kind of like the head and shoulders, just because we've been talking about it for the last couple of days. So I sometimes forget that, but I realize sometimes people, although I'm here every day, not everyone is here every day. So if we discussed the Gartley yesterday, and someone wasn't here to see it, they may not have realized it where I do. So that's what I meant. I know you're not new. I know the name. But I meant just the kind of like dollar yen head and shoulders, dollar yen head and shoulders. I kind of just say it in my head, but don't actually kind of draw it on. because in my mind it's already there. So always remind me, and I will always redo it. But we're doing let's talk about this level here. Boom. And this candle had come down, I believe it was the end of last week. And we started to consolidate on a lower time frame. Right? I think it was, right around here. And I was saying, same example, right? This looks like a good trading opportunity until you realize that there is structure looking left, right? You want to be careful, right? Because looking left, you have these lows down here. And this was a lesson that I learned, right? You guys hear me say this all the time, right? When there's two levels of overlapping structure, which level is more important? The lower one in this case, right? How did I learn that lesson? By not avoiding the lower one and consistently getting stopped out. And then one day reviewing my trade and saying, this keeps happening to me. I wonder if this is important. And this is one of those examples, again, where an undereducated trader stops right here, right? Boom, right? Below the lows, I'm good, right? But you don't realize this little zone right here. And you'll see that zone tested. So this is a good example of that. 4 hour dollar Canada. Most recently lower, it looks like just barely a lower low, lower closer on the 4 hour. Let's go down to the hourly. I don't know what you want to. I don't know what you want to do with this stuff. I don't want to do anything with it. ECB press conference in 15 minutes, by the way. Let's head down to the 15 and the 5. By the way, for you guys tracking, remember yesterday we looked at a dollar Swiss trade. Latch said it worked out pretty well. You're becoming a superstar, Latch, with your RSI strategy. I've been reading the chat. We might have to bring you in to teach a session. All right. Let's go to Aussie dollar next. And then we'll take our break. Aussie dollar on the daily. Retesting previous structure highs. We're seeing this same situation on a lot of different pairs. The main two being Aussie dollar and New Zealand. Seeing slightly different scenarios on Canada yen and Aussie yen, and even Aussie Canada to a more extreme. Well, the retracement at least is a little bit to more extreme here. But we're starting to see some more movement to the downside. So if we're going to continue to the downside, this is where I think we're likely to continue to. We have a nice zone of inside structure right here. If we look left, right, we have more inside structure at that zone. We look lefter, right, nice little support area, resistance area at that zone as well. So not a bad area to anticipate a return to. If you recall, if we bring our Fibonacci retracement in from our swing low to our swing high, we have a 3-2 Fibonacci retracement sitting right in that level, right above a psychological number of 68 flat. So with all that being said, 68 flat is probably a level that should be on your radar of where you anticipate price to go to. And that can mean two things. That means you can look for shorts in anticipation of 68 flat, or you can look for 68 flat as a spot to get long. Now, I would be cautious. If you're looking to get long, why might you want to be cautious? Why might you want to be cautious if you're looking to get long? Yeah. The question you may want to ask yourself is, do I really have any reason to get long? And I don't mean reason as far as like a technical reason, like a double top or a doji, but based on our technical analysis, do I actually predict that the market is likely to go up? Because I have a good philosophy. where aside from like a set strategy that you follow consistently like an assembly line, my philosophy is don't involve yourself in a position going in a direction unless you think price is actually going to go in that direction. I know that's out there, guys. I know that's out there. It's a different way of thinking. But I stand by it. So yeah, so right now, I mean, I don't have a bullish bias. I don't have a bearish bias either, guys. I'm completely neutral this pair. I have no reason to think price is more likely to go higher versus lower. I have no reason to think price is likely to go lower versus higher, aside from perhaps lower to this inside zone, 68. But I don't have any reason to think price is likely to go lower from that level. So I'm completely neutral, the Aussie dollar. And in situations like this, I wait. I draw a line at the top. I draw a line at the bottom. I grab some coffee, and I just wait for one of those lines to be broken. And if we break to the upside, then my bias shifts to bullish. If we break to the downside, then my bias shifts to bearish. Anything in between, again, aside from this, we can make short-term projections. And that's what we're doing here at the 68 level, where it's like we're probably likely to go from here to here, just because that's the next level of structure, and structure tends to act like a magnet. But aside from that, maybe short-term projection. Again, and that can turn into another short-term projection if we kind of violate this level. But bigger picture, there's no real prediction until price kind of shows its hand. Show your face. Face me. You guys ever watch the series Spartacus? HBO, I think it was HBO. Or it might have been Cinemax. About the Spartans and all that stuff. For you guys that watch it, you know I'm struggling to kind of describe it in a word. It was graphic. It was definitely not safe for work. Very not safe for work. Sexual. It was violent. It was extreme. It was extreme. There's a lot of stuff going on at all times. Stuff that sometimes made you cringe. But yeah, it was a good show. Good series, I should say. It got kind of weird. I believe the main character actually developed, the original main character, I think he had gotten cancer. And he passed away. And I think that's why they changed the kind of the thing of it. Like they did Spartacus, and then they kind of went back to like the past because I found out later. I think because he had cancer or passed away, which is sad. But one of the coolest parts of that series, the best line I ever had. Right, if I was a warrior, I would do this. The guy before you can like fight in the arenas, you had to start at the very bottom. Right, so this guy was at the bottom fighting like people in, I guess what would be the equivalent of like a basement, in the ancient Greece basement. And there was this one guy, just the slums of the slums, the dirtiest looking beastly person in the world. And after he would fight you, right? This is fighting to the death, by the way. If he won, or one time he won, and he would literally remove your face and wear it. All right? He would literally wear the face of his previous opponent. So it was one episode, and he's there, and he beat this guy, and he cuts his face off, and he puts it on his own face, and he looks at the crowd. He says, "Who wants to face me?" Best line ever. Genius. For you guys that like that sort of thing. I'm an athlete, so I like that. Like I would do that. Like if I can go out on the field and put a football helmet with someone else's face on it, oh man, would make my day. But it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Half you guys are like, ugh, it's horrible, kill. Meanwhile, Cody's probably screaming at his kids, yeah. All right, Aussie dollars go down to the lower time frame. And unfortunately, unlike the Spartacus, this is where things get a little bit boring again. Now, one thing you could look for is this. We have this type of move going on. You can see a little one right here, right? We have a little ebb and flow going on with our most recent move being a what? Lower low, lower close. Again, we're anticipating that price is likely to come to this red line here, 168.07. So as a day trader, right, not going to do much for you as a swing trader at all, so you can kind of just ignore that. As an intraday trader and perhaps a day trader, you can look for a selling opportunity. You could look for a pullback trade, right? It'll be interesting to see how price reacts in this zone right here. And we'll probably have to go down to the range bar charts. We'll check the 15 and the 5. Owen says 2618, bullish 2618, bearish 2618. Owen? Bearish 2618? Now that's already bit on the 15 minute. From right in here, this level. This double top right here. If you can see my, I don't know if you guys can see my, yeah. Or this one, the bigger one, the bigger one. Now I would say if you're looking at this one, this 2618 has already happened. So we had our double top here, right? We violated our lows here. And then we already retraced and moved forward. So if you're looking at this as your double top for the 2618, this one has already occurred. Now you can still look for a pullback trade, don't get me wrong. But I think technically the 2618, you may want to consider that to be invalid because we've already had that move. Owen's like, okay, we'll just call it a 618 pullback. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to just enter at a 618 pullback, if that's the rules for entry, do it. Yeah. If that's the plan, yeah. The point I'm trying to make though is like technically this, like the move off of this, the 2618 is a retest of a double top. So you have your double top, and then you have your violation of the double top, really your confirmation that the double top has worked. And then your 2618 is the next wave up, right? So the retest of it and the continuation down. Right? So I wouldn't call this a 2618 because that 2618 has already occurred, right? We've already had multiple pullbacks, right? We had the double top right here. We had pullback number 1 here. We extend it. We have pullback number 2 here. And then we extended off of that. So I still think we can look for a pullback trade. But something that I would be cautious of, if you're, say, waiting for the 618 here, keep in mind that if you're going to take a 618 retracement from the double top here, that's going to put your 618 right up here. Where is this 618 located at? And again, not saying you should do something or shouldn't do something, just putting thought out there. That's my job. My job is not to tell people how to trade, but just putting thought out there so we can think and then make our own decisions. Yeah, this 618 is going to come, not necessarily a violation of structure because we don't know, we could wick up there, but it would come at a previous structure. It would come above a previous level of structure, which may or may not be a red flag to you. So just something to consider. We look at this on, get down here. Look at this on the range bar chart. We get rid of those wicks. That's the cool thing about the range bar charts, right? We have this, and it's not necessarily better or worse, because these wicks do tell us the signal, right? This wick tells me that, hey, watch this level, Akil. Selling pressure up at this level. but we're not going to have that same thing on the range bar charts. In the range bar charts, we're going to get a little clear ebb and flow. Let's see if we have a cipher here. Let's see if we have a cipher. Because if we do... just missed. Okay. If we got a cipher, that would allow us an aggressive entry in that level, but we do not. So range bar charts, you could look for a same thing, a pullback to this zone. Technically, your kill zone is anywhere from here to here. Since this is your previous outside return, or excuse me, this is your previous new structure low. This is your previous outside return. If you want a smaller kill zone, you can look for a kill zone in there. So we already have hidden divergence from right here, even from the bigger one. If you want to measure this entire deal here, we already have hidden divergence, which is a good sign. Something I would like to see here is an RSI swap, meaning I would like to see the RSI go from directly oversold, which we did, to overbought, which we have not done yet. And then I can enter on a lower low, lower close for a short in anticipation of a move down to, again, one was a 68.07, I think we said it was. 68.07 is the top of that kill zone. Let's see if we have any Fibonacci influence with that. Again, ECB press conference starting in about a minute. 68.16, 68.05 is our 1618. So that's going to line up right with that inside structure. So decent opportunity there on Aussie dollar. That's a decent opportunity. Intraday pullback trade. Any questions on Aussie? We're going to take our first break as Mario Draghi gets started on his last and final ECB press conference. All right, let's put 15 minutes or 13 minutes on the clock. I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, gang, welcome back to the live trading room. Happy Thursday to you. Round two so far today. It's been a pretty dry day in market, although we did get some good analysis done on a few pairs, most recently the Aussie dollar, as we're waiting for a potential day trading short opportunity, or at least I'm waiting for a day trading short opportunity. But before that, we looked at the euro dollar, the pound dollar, the euro yen, the pound yen, the dollar Canada, and then, of course, the Aussie dollar. So we're going to keep moving along. We're going to head over to New Zealand dollar next. There is an ECB press conference going on at the moment, so you want to keep that in mind. Let's take a quick peek back at euro yen to see if any movement has been made off of that. We're looking at the 4-hour double top. So kind of still where we started. I don't expect too much from the ECB press conference. I think everything that had to be said has already been said. But it is the ECB press conference. We need to take that into account. Gabriel says, 2% just watched. 2%. 2%. Probably missed the part of the conversation. But New Zealand dollar, let's start in the daily and work our way down. Maybe referring to the ECB press conference. New Zealand dollar is in a similar situation as the Aussie dollar. As we've rallied up, we've come into previous structure resistance at a nice little level, some high wick to candlestick action here. We've come back up to that level, and so far we have held. Very similar to Aussie. I don't really have a real bias here, but if we are going to go lower short term, so this may be another day trading opportunity, the most likely aiming point that we'll come to is this inside, if I can get my lines working, this inside level of structure around 63.50s. So let's keep that in mind as we go down to the 4-hour. 4-hour chart here. You can see we have a beautiful, not technical double top, but a nice little formation happening. We've also come down to the bottom and we've held this level. We're currently holding this level. This was something we were watching yesterday as well. So a good sign for continued continued movement to the downside would be what? If we're saying if price action is going to come down to this level and we want to see a good sign for continued downside action, yep, we want to see a break and a close below. So a break and close below 63.86. If that occurs, there's a good chance we're going to head down to about 63.54. There's not that much room in there, but it's the principles of making those predictions that matters the most. Heading down to the hourly here. Again, you can see price action hitting these lows, testing these lows for a third time. Seeing a little bit of a reaction so far for most recent, could end up being a higher high, higher close, depending on how price moves within the last 14 minutes. We go down to the 15-minute chart here. And we go down to the 5-minute chart here. You can make the case for a small advanced pattern formation. So if you're looking to involve, nope. Yep, they look about even actually. Check your data on your C leg, right? Make sure this is even and not exceeding the A leg. Actually, either way, we don't hit the 50% retracement, so I take that back. Questions on New Zealand dollar? I thought we'd have a small pattern formation like this, but we don't hit that 50% level. So you've robbed me once again, New Zealand dollar. All right, let's go to what's next. Should be Aussie Canada. Aussie Canada, fresh off our cipher pattern. See what's next on Aussie Canada. And this is the final pair in my portfolio. So what we've been doing is typically in a live room, I'll come in at the beginning of the day and I'll go around all of the pairs in the market and I'll put together a list of what what I think is going to be kind of the most educational opportunities for the day, and we'll kind of go through that. Again, today, because the radar was literally bare, dry, there was nothing there. We've just been going through the pairs in the order of my portfolio, which is always the same. So I trade a 9-pair portfolio: euro dollar, pound dollar, euro yen, pound yen, dollar Canada, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and Aussie Canada. Those are the main pairs that I want to look at, mainly because those are the only pairs that I can trade. And then after that, we typically get to the minors, or not the minors, but the pairs outside of my portfolio: euro Aussies, pound Aussies, euro Canadas, Aussie yens, stuff like that. So, Aussie Canada, you can see we're moving down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 bearish days in a row. Likely, right? If we're going to continue lower, we're likely to continue to retest our previous structure lows right here around 89.11s, 89.11. So once again, we could anticipate movement to the downside. However, this pair also has a very small ATR. We're currently trading at 89.36. So there just isn't a lot of potential there unless we get a retracement. So we're going to need to see some type of retracement to really get a clear sign of, or get a clear opportunity to get involved here. Here was the cipher we had last week. Rolling its way towards target 2s, which is good if you take target 2s. If you're looking for a buying opportunity, I would say this, right? You can anticipate kind of perhaps a right shoulder type of deal right here. Maybe look for a structure-based trade here if you're anticipating movement to the upside. I don't see any reason to predict that we're likely to continue higher. But if you do, this is a sneaky level that you can pay attention to. Just realize that we do have those overlapping levels of structure, meaning that it's going to be structure a little bit below that level, which you may want to take into account when thinking about stop losses and whatnot. Down on the hourly, RSI did go oversold on this first test. we're looking to potentially put in a double bottom. So again, if you're looking for that buying reason, you can look for a double bottom at that level to be your reason to buy. For sells, right, for sellers, we're going to need to see a retracement up to this structure shelf right here would be a decent level, about 89.50. So if we can get a retracement at the 89.50s, that gives you a level where you can start planning your shorts. But I don't anticipate seeing that. The market has looked at it's going to double bottom, maybe consolidate and just kind of wiggle its way down there with no real type of ebb and flow, unfortunately. Questions on Aussie Canada. All right, let's take a glance at some of these other pairs then. If I stop at something that looks appetizing to you, let me know. I'm going to kind of do like a quick run through where I'll glance at it and see if there's anything worth talking about. And if there's not, then we won't spend any time. But if I glance at something and then I go past it, and you're like, hey, I thought I saw something on there. Feel free to let me know, and we can always go back. I'm going to go. I typically do it on a 4-hour chart because that's going to show us if we have any opportunity. Euro Aussie was another pair that was at a decision point where we were looking to see what happened at this level. Price action decided to hold, and now we're retracing back up to previous structure highs right here. So we're at an inside level of structure, or a minor level of structure, I should say. But I don't think there's really much tradable here. Not at all. Let's go pound Aussie. Okay, so pound Aussie. Let me type this in. Pound Aussie. We're at 107. Pound Aussie is at previous. We're above previous level of resistance. I'm going to go to a weekly real quick just so I can get a bigger view of what's happening on this pair. Okay, so you can see we've broken and closed above a previous level of resistance. Real quick, Ali says Aussie yen 60-minute potential bat X at 74.02s. Aussie yen 1-hour chart potential bat X at 70. Potential bullish bat, excuse me, X at 74.02. Right? So we've broken and closed above previous structure. And you can see that there's no real clear level of structure next. So the next place I could anticipate price action going is really around this area right here, right? Really around this zone. It's a big zone because it's the pound Aussie. But right in this kind of the middle of this big red candle, right? From back in, what was this, a Brexit candle, right? June 16? That was a Brexit candle, wasn't it? Is that Brexit? Yeah, June 16? Yeah, that big old Brexit candle, right? So going back down to the daily, or excuse me, the 4-hour, you can see that we're starting to put in a consolidation pattern, right? We're starting to wedge a little bit like many of our pound pairs because they're just not doing anything, right? What I would look for here, and there's two ways you can trade this. It's going to be very similar to the head and shoulder pattern that we looked at with the Aussie or dollar yen, right? You could look to trade this as a breakout, right? This is a pennant pattern, or it's a triangle. You could look to trade it as a breakout, meaning you wait for a break of this upper trend line. And of course, you can either trade it during the break or wait for the retest and a pullback like that. Or the safer way would be to look for the break of that horizontal level of resistance and then look to trade it to the upside. The break of the triangle would be the more aggressive way of getting involved. The break of the horizontal level of resistance would be the safer way. That would give you more confirmation. That's what I mean by safer. And if we just take real quickly a one-to-one measured move here of our flagpole and go back out to the weekly, I wonder if that lines up right with that level. Lines up at the highs of it. Let me just do a 127 real quick. But this is a pretty, this is a decent setup if we can get confirmation of a break, meaning that there's upside potential here. Now again, this is a pound pair. Who the heck knows what's going to happen with it? Yeah, 127 extension right in the middle of that break. So that's right around that level. So that'd be a decent level to look for targets. But yeah, this is something to keep on your radar. Who knows when or if or how it will break? But if you do get a break and a violation to the upside, this one should have a lot of room to the upside. A lot of room to the upside. Owen says euro is on the move. Euro dollar. Uh-oh. There we go. Euro on the move. Is Draghi starting the Q&A part of his press conference? That's typically when the markets start to move. The prepared speech is your normal PR prepared speech where you're saying a bunch of nothing. The Q&A is when people start to really kind of dig in a little bit deeper. It could also be, Gabby says, dollar weakness overall. Yeah, it could be dollar weakness as well. I wonder if something came out for the dollar. It's not a... What do we have on the news event today? We had core durable goods was at 8:30. That was a while ago. Again, not that it really matters, but slow days like this, good days to be curious. Draghi answers questions. Yep. So Q&A. Yep. Yeah. So it's Q&A. But the dollar also missed on our news earlier, I believe, if I remember correctly, on core durable goods. So that can also be playing a role. Ali says, by the way, ECB gave me a nice 2-target winner on the small euro cipher. Nice. Nice. Ka-ching. All right. What were we on? Pound Aussie. Okay. So let's go to pound, not pound. Let's go to Aussie yen next. Ali brought up Aussie yen, potential bullish bat around 74.02. We'll take a brief look at the higher time frames and work our way down to the 60. See if you can keep the pattern streak alive. 60-minute chart. Aussie yen. This is the sneaky one that looks like an advanced pattern, but the C leg is slightly short, so it's not an advanced pattern, unfortunately. This is also a pair where we've broken, right? Similar to Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, where we've broken and violate that inside our most recent level of previous structure resistance. So we are anticipating a continued move higher. So this is something that you may want to pair with your bull Gartley. Was it bull Gartley? Bull bat, excuse me. So if you have a bull bat and you're someone that allows yourself to take extended targets, right? If your higher time frame analysis says, hey, you know what? I'm predicting a move higher. So I'm looking for an opportunity to involve myself in a bullish move regardless. And now I have this bullish bat. Maybe it's one where you say, hey, I'm going to use this bullish bat as simply an entry reason into my higher time frame trade. Or you do a little split seize with the targets where you say, hey, I'm going to take my first targets off normal with the bat pattern, going to get stops to break even, going to put some profit in my pockets. And then instead of looking for the 618 or whatever your secondary target may be, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive and shoot for a continuation based off my higher time frame analysis. But we do have the higher high, higher close. We can anticipate a move higher to this upper level of structure, this consolidation period right there. So you may get two things that actually fall in line with each other. Let's see. 4-hour chart here. You can see here's the 2618 Gabby's looking at. Let me know if this is it, Gabby. Looks like this is what you're looking at. Your double trouble right there. Your break and close below. Boom, like that. And we head down to the 1 hour. And let me see if I can guess what you're looking at. X to A, A to B, right here, B to C, and C to D. So here goes Ollie's bat pattern. Drag this a little bit lower. And once again, if you're someone that has the higher time frame bias, that you're predicting that we're likely to go higher, and you're looking for a reason to get higher, this could be your entry reason. This could be your entry reason into a trade and look to continue up. Questions on Aussie yen? Silence. Silence. All right, let's go back to the boringness. Euro pound, Euro Canada, right? When we talked about yesterday, same thing. A lot of these pairs are at previous structure, and we're just waiting to see if they're violated. Euro Canada was one where, again, just like Euro Aussie, it could hold. But in this one, there's more opportunity to the downside. We just haven't been able to break to the downside. Euro New Zealand was another one. So far getting a hold on Euro New Zealand. Just looked at Aussie yen. Canada yen still kind of just doing nothing all week. New Zealand yen. So here goes one on New Zealand, Canada. Another one we're waiting for a break. I think we've already moved down, though, to where we're likely to go to. Yeah, so that's not going to help us. Unless you're a butterfly trader. Pound Canada. Oil finally starting to bust out. I don't know if you guys remember this. I think it was last week. We're looking at oil. I like this formation here, where we came down, we kind of bottomed out down here. We saw those long tails to the downside, showing us that there was some buying pressure. And then we had to break above, close below, and we're waiting for the retest and a chance to get higher. And then we kind of just consolidated again. We finally got an aggressive break, another higher high, higher close. So perhaps as a day trader, if you go down to a really low time frame, like a 15 or a 5, you're a day trader on oil. This is one where I would start looking for pullbacks, right? You can see we just broke another structure shelf here. Oil, if you're a day trader, I'd look for pullbacks, right? This zone looks as good as any zone right here. Look for a pullback too. Because technically this is the smaller zone, the bigger one would be up here. And look for an opportunity to trade it up. So lower time frame traders on oil, I think that's a decent opportunity. Here's a clearer view on the 5 minute. So you can really see kind of that retracement here. So day traders on oil, good opportunity on oil for a buy. Where are we going to go to? That's the hard part. I see a structure shelf for about 56.73. There's no real significant level of structure. Really, there's no significant level of structure into these highs up here at 62.58, but 56.75 is probably want to pay attention to. Probably want to pay attention to 59 flat somewhere in there as well. Gold. Silver. Platinum. Probably due for some type of relief on platinum, guys. Right? You can see the slope starting to kind of slow down. Right? You can see a really steep slope, and then we're starting to kind of bend off a little bit. You can see we're also coming into what? What else are we coming into here on platinum? Yep. Previous level of support, which we would think may now act as resistance. Come on. I'm trying to navigate on NinjaTrader. I keep forgetting this. You got to do the M after it as well. So we could see some relief here. Again, you can see high momentum move, and we're starting to kind of slope off a little bit, right? If you're someone looking for some relief, so a bearish move, keep an eye on this level. I don't see any reason for entry per se, but I would expect some profit taking to be happening at that level. I would expect some selling pressure to occur as well. I know if I were a seller, that's where I would be looking to sell to. Dollar index, DAX. Nope. Dollar Swiss. Tesla? Bitcoin? Ooh, there you go. Look at that. I was gonna say Bitcoin breaking support. Right? We had our descending triangle here. We came down, started to consolidate a little bit. We're breaking support to the downside. However, again, we got one of those tricky areas, right? We got a zone right here, which I wouldn't want to sell into that zone because you can't anticipate where price is likely to return to. If we break that zone, however, there is room to the downside, but not a lot you can do within that zone. Yeah. That's all I've got, guys. That's all I've got. Aussie dollar was the only real juicy opportunity on the radar that I had on the radar, and we did not go overbought on the range bar chart. So it's a dull day in the market. What was the exciting announcement you had about S&P Capital? Did I miss it? No, I didn't. I didn't say anything about an exciting announcement. Was I supposed to? Was I supposed to announce something? Was that another fake Akil on the internet pretending to be me? something from a while ago? I made some announcements a while ago, but not. I wasn't sure if that you're referring to. I'm not sure. Oh, so 2 weeks ago. Um, I don't remember what I said 2 weeks ago, but um, yeah, we'll be working with SMB Capital. We mentioned this at the Trading Edge event back in August. Working with SMB Capital, so they'll be providing some educational material to our platform, and hopefully there's a deeper partnership included as well, which will help you guys get a real clear path to a career in trading. But yeah, no big announcement. I mean, not I can't tell you really any more than that. But yeah, I mean it's cool. Again, I've made no lie. My goal is to bridge the gap. That's one of the reasons the foundation course was called Bridge the Gap, because that's been on my mind even more so lately than over the past 10 years. But um, my goal is to not just, I think we've done a good job of teaching traders how to teach, or teaching traders how to trade. I think we've done a good job of teaching traders how to teach. I think we've done a good job of um, putting people in position to manage money. And we have a few traders out there that are starting hedge funds, that are managing monies for other. I think a few are doing signal services as well. But not everyone wants to do that, right? That is hard, annoying work. It takes a certain person to go into money management, and even the stuff that is behind that, the marketing and selling yourself and getting clients, like that stuff's annoying. Um, some of you guys are like me. I don't know. You probably caught this drift already from knowing me for so long, but I just like to trade. Like I don't really like any of the other stuff that comes on with teaching. Like I don't like being on the internet. I don't like shameless promotion. I don't like I don't even like doing like the stuff I have to do for the education, but I understand that's part of the business. I just like to trade and teach people. Um, and some of you are the same way. You don't want to go manage money. You don't want to do signal services and all that stuff. So my goal is to kind of create a way that you can take your skill of trading and have a career just trading. I mean, you're trading someone else's capital, perhaps like working for a prop firm, where you can take your skill of trading, you can get funded by a prop firm, you can trade, and with many prop firms, at least some of the better ones, as you become better, not only do you get access to more capital, but you can also kind of add your own capital into it. And I think that's a cool. It's a cool path for the people that don't want to do the other stuff, because the other stuff is hard. Um, Teaching is difficult to get your foot in the door, to make a name for yourself. Um, Signal services are a little easier than teaching, um, but there is. I mean, you do have to the business side of it. You do have to market yourself. You do have to create or develop, or I guess you would hire someone to develop software so that you can run your signal service, right? You see a lot of signal services out there where it's like just they have like a group me message or whatever message. I mean, I would do it in a more professional way. Nothing wrong with those ways, but I would do it. Like when we had a signal service at Trade and Power, we had a little software that came up on your computer, and it dung ding every time a signal was put in, something like that. But that can be annoying. And money management is tough. It's tough to promote yourself and get people to give you lots of money. And that stuff can take a very long time as well. So yeah, so that's the path. I mean, that's what we'd like to create. And we're talking about that. I would love to see that happen by 2020. I've been kind of pushing people to try and get that done. I don't always get the answers that I want. But well, it'd be cool to have that in motion, or at least an idea in motion by 2020. I think that would be a cool goal, and I think it gives you guys a light at the end of the tunnel. I think many of you guys are trading, and you're kind of like, well, what do once I know it takes me a while to get good, but what do I do after I get good? I think to have kind of a set path where it's like, hey Tobias, Once you get good, then you can do this. I just think it's a little bit of a motivator, kind of like a, I got through school like that. Where it's like you get good grades on this test, you get to go to college. I'm like, all right, I guess so. Where if you just like get good grades on this test for no reason, I didn't really care too much. So I think it'd be cool. So hopefully, I think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen the way in which I envision it, but I know that there's a need. S&B Capital has a need for good traders. They don't do a good job of training traders, and that's not a knock against them. Mike Bellafiore has told us that himself, and the reason is because they're not teachers, man. They're traders. They're traders. They're not necessarily teachers. It's a different game. Our specialty is we're good traders. We're not super traders or anything like that, but our specialty is that we have the ability to teach. So it's a partnership that works pretty good, kind of like a minor league system where you come here, you train, and then you get your shot, and hopefully you take advantage of it. So that'd be cool. So, but we'll see. I gave up on putting timelines on stuff because knowing myself and knowing really the rest of us at Tier 1 Trading, we don't really stick to timelines very well. We have full intentions of doing it, but we're in a way we're all really bad procrastinators. But that'd be something cool to get done. Drew says, Coach, does higher time frame, lower low, lower close, or higher high, higher close? Your message is running away from me. Represent a lower time frame violation of structure, or is there no correlation, just a candlestick pattern on a time frame analyze? In most cases, there will be. If there's a higher high, higher close, or a lower low, lower close on a higher time frame, in most cases, the lower time frame will also have a similar violation, but not all of the time. There are times where we have seen violations on, say, the daily, but then the 4 hour, it's not violated. And sometimes you get kind of those weird candles where you may have a violation on the daily, but the 4 hour, you have two candles, and the first one is like, let's say this is the level of structure. I'll just draw it in. Let's say this is the level of structure that needs to be violated, right? Perhaps on the higher time frame, you get a violation, but on the lower time frame, you get a candle like this, right? And you get a candle like that, and technically it's not a violation because of that wick. So most of the times you will get the same signal, but not all of the time. Not all of the time. Thank you. I try to become a good teacher. For certain people, I'm not for everyone. There are certain people that are offended by my simplicity. But that's well, no, it's not even ignore them. I mean, I don't really care. I'm very comfortable with myself, but I tell people this all the time. It's and this is why I push people to the trial before ever signing up. You got to make sure it's the right fit, right? We all have different personalities. Like I am a very simple person, right? Jason Greystone is a very simple person, right? We have very simple styles. I think it comes from our backgrounds where we're not very. I get like, all right. Like on paper, I'm highly educated because I have 2 degrees, but I don't think I'm highly educated. Degrees are just pieces of paper I get for paying my school a lot of money for all those years. But we're not both book smart type people. We come from I don't want to say normal people situations, but we come from places where common sense and street smarts were probably more important than just book smart. We know enough, but we know how the world actually works in reality compared to a textbook. However, there are other people that are very, very, very book smart, very brain smart, and they need formulas, they need stuff like that because that's what makes sense to them. So they'll see our training and it doesn't make sense to them because they can't learn that way. Where they may go to someone else who's giving them formulas and calculations and math, and it works like that. Like, I'll give you an example right here, is not necessarily in trading, but let me just, I was doing this for some track athletes yesterday. long jump takeoff angles. Let's try this. See if that gives me something. Yeah, so there'll be people in, nope, let's try formula. Takeoff formula. Yeah. So, right. Here is, right, are you guys familiar with the long jump, the track event where they run and they jump into the sand? Right? Pretty simple, right? You jump into the sand, right? So here is, some people will react very, very well to this, right? These are the formulas behind the long jump. See all this stuff? Earth, gravity, kinetic energy, right? I can't explain this to save my life per like formula, right? Mass of the planet, radius of the planet, right? This is long jump. And there's some coaches that teach it that way. Yeah, it keeps going, guys. This is, yeah. Yeah. Why is the long jump so confusing? But there are some people out there that get it. It's like that's how they need to do it. Like I just tell them, run fast and jump. Obviously, I tell them more than that, right? But we don't get into the particulars of like, hey, I'll say, look, you need a higher angle or a lower angle. We don't get into the specifics of you need a 31% angle at takeoff, and that needs to switch into a 21% angle because if you're any lower than 21 or 15%, then you're going to do this. Like, it doesn't mean anything. So it's kind of like, hey, you're too high in the air, so jump further horizontally, jump higher vertically, something like that. But different people respond differently. Sometimes it is ego, right? I've run into a lot of coaches on both sides, trading and track, where they do that just to feed their ego, where it's like, if I can recite all this stuff and memorize it, I sound smarter than everyone else. And that's cool. I mean, if that's what you want. But some people honestly just do like, they learn better that way. That's how they are. Everyone's different. So, yep, that's the cool thing about the trial offer. If you do it the right way, you spend time with us and you get to learn. And you get to see if the teaching style that we offer is the right for you, and if it's not, you go out there and hopefully you find the one that is. I'm going to give that next year. I'm going to give it to all of our freshman athletes. I'm going to present them with a book of all those formulas and be like, hey, if you want to jump far, study this. Yeah, I remember someone tried to teach me that. I left. I left. I'm like, look, my brain hurts. There's a reason I dropped my math classes in college. I didn't want this stuff. Math should have numbers, not letters, guys. Math, I can do number math. Don't give me letters. Give me 2 plus 2. Don't give me X times 3. Now I gotta memorize the alphabet and numbers? That's too much. You're asking too much. All right. So, but yeah, as we know about the SMB thing, I'll let you guys know. I'm not a big fan of over-promising, so I just don't want to say anything that's set in stone until it's actually set in stone, because then you guys get your hopes up and it may not never happen. So all I can say is it's in the works. From what I've heard, the course material is done. We've got to go through it and kind of figure out what's the best way to provide it. It's also a way to open up more into stock. I wanted, another big thing I wanted to do was not as big, but I wanted to kind of go into different markets. I come from a stock background. I think diversification is key. I want to go into a little bit about trading the stock market. Now it's a completely different world. So I probably wouldn't be teaching it. But I do think, I know many of you guys have interest in other markets as well. And I think, it's as we get better, we should expand, and if we can do it at the right way without diluting what we already do, that's the key. That's one of the mistakes we made at Trade Empowered, is we went everywhere and then we diluted it. So we want to make sure we have the Forex fully established, right? And obviously the basics of technical analysis, guys, those are the same no matter what. Like you can ask Naomi, she's trading some indexes right now, right? The basics of, and Gabby can tell you, the basics of technical analysis are the same no matter what, right? Supply, demand, support, resistance, trends, like head and shoulders, simple patterns, like those are all exactly the same. But there are some small nuances, right? Forex is more, Forex consolidates more, right? Versus the more trendy nature of the stock market or your indexes. I don't know much about options. Charles can tell you about that. So it's just like how each pair has its different personality. Each market has its different personality as well. And there are some things you can do in the stock market that maybe work better than in the Forex market. There's even stuff like reading the tape. You have the ability to do that in the stock market where you don't have the ability. You don't have volume in the Forex market. You can read volume in the stock market. So that's something that's different. Moving averages, I can tell you're going to play a much bigger role in the stock market than the Forex market. So a strategy like the daily chore strategy may be much more, maybe even more effective in the stock market. So something I want to get into. We're a young company, but we're only 2 years old. We're not even 2 years old. So we got plenty of time. Plenty of time. But always expanding, always trying to get a little bit better. But the key is do it patient and not dilute what we already have. We want to make sure the Forex thing is solid. I think the Foundation 2 course I think that bridged a lot of gaps. That was a big concern of mine. So I think that helped a lot. So maybe that's good for now. We'll see. I'm sure over the years we'll get emails and we'll find other stuff that needs to be added. But we're being patient. We're still a young child. So there's your announcement, Tobias. But just know that when we know about it, guys, you guys will know about it first. Because you guys are our built-in beta testers. So you guys will know about it first. But yeah, we'll let you know when we know. So anyway, I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to shut this thing down. I'll get the recording up. I'm going to try and do a trading edge video for you this weekend. I'm going to be in and out of town. So hopefully I can make time to do it. But I'll try to get you guys something. If not, I will see you. Hey, happy birthday, Gabby. October babies rock, right? We the best. Who? We. I'll see you guys Monday for the Q&A. Take care.